he'll be able to get a little bit more out of Ced Tillman this week. And, when you just look at the targets, it seems like that Shedeur would be best served by trying to spread the ball around a little bit more. Do you think that'll help?
Yeah, I'm hopeful on Ced. Obviously, practicing this week will be a key for him to get back out there and have a more full role that he's used to. And then obviously when it comes to a pass game, you want to spread the ball around to as many guys as you can, runners, tight ends, wide receivers. I think that makes you tougher to defend when you're spreading the ball around.
I think if you're the Browns, you're not saying, hey, can Shedeur work with Stefanski? I think it is, can Stefanski work with Shedeur? Meaning, like, if Shedeur keeps playing the way he did on Sunday, or again, let's say 20% less, but he is an acceptable starter. At the end of the season, you are going to have to ask yourself, well, if we're going forward with this guy as the starter or as the lead guy in the room, and then we'll kind of let another, he'll battle with somebody for the job, whatever it is, you do have to ask yourself, is Kevin Stefanski the right coach for him? And that, I think, is a question that will come up if Shedeur continues to play at a significant level.
Of course it will, and that's where I think if this all is predicated on Shedeur over the next 4 games looking awesome, but that is the type of question then that has them. Does that happen behind closed doors? To be honest with me, just how much is Kevin actually helping you here? How badly do you need him? Do you feel like your development is tied to Stefanski or not? Because if you asked him right now...
The NFL just sent Kevin Stefanski a final ultimatum after his press conference about Shedeur Sanders' future exploded across social media. When asked whether Shedeur should focus on spreading the ball around more, Stefanski's response raised serious red flags among league executives about whether he's the right coach to develop this rookie quarterback, especially after he admitted Shedeur maintains the same attitude every single day, despite the team's struggles, while refusing to fully commit to him as Cleveland's long-term answer. But here's where things get explosive. When reporters pressed Stefanski about Shedeur's performance after that brutal Chicago loss, he delivered the most generic, paint-by-numbers coach speak imaginable. He's got the same attitude every single day, which you expect from quarterbacks. You have to turn the page after a loss. Essentially treating Shedeur like any other player on the roster, instead of recognizing the special talent he's working to develop, proving that even now Stefanski doesn't fully believe in what he has. The most damning moment? When asked directly if spreading the ball around would help Shedeur, Stefanski said, "I'm hopeful that Cedric Tillman returning would give them a key for him to get back out there." Not praising Shedeur's ability to elevate his receivers, not defending his performance despite playing with limited weapons, instead suggesting Shedeur needs more help to succeed, rather than acknowledging he's been balling out with basically one reliable target. And the real bombshell? Stefanski spent far more time gushing over Josh Allen as someone playing at an extremely high level. I don't know who's playing better than him at the position, while giving Shedeur the absolute bare minimum acknowledgement. The message to NFL executives is crystal clear. Unless Stefanski changes his approach and commits to Shedeur as the franchise quarterback, the Browns might need to find a coach who actually believes in developing the talent they already have, instead of treating him like a placeholder until they can draft someone else.
Ups and downs for rookies, but especially Shedeur as a rookie quarterback, whether it's in-game or coming off a game. So how have you seen him handle that? Like coming in yesterday after the rough game in Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's got the same attitude every single day, which you expect from quarterbacks. You have to, in this league, be able to turn the page after a loss. You got to be able to turn the page after a win. You can't take that previous game with you, and I think he does a great job.
Kevin Stefanski was sabotaging you.
So you just want to start trouble, huh?
No, I want to ask you what your relationship with him is.
Yeah, well, what people do outside the building isn't really in my control. It's not in my power, so I don't. You act like I go out there and tell them to do whatever. That's not nothing I can control or nothing I could do. Just happy to be here. Coach Stefanski, been coaching since I got here, and he's been doing a very great job.
Listen up, because what just went down in this Kevin Stefanski press conference should have every NFL front office questioning whether this is the right coach to develop a franchise quarterback. What he said, and more importantly, what he didn't say about Shedeur Sanders speaks volumes. Let me break down this entire presser for you, because there are layers to Stefanski's comments, and by the end, you'll understand why the league might be issuing him an ultimatum. Either fully commit to Shedeur Sanders and develop him the right way, or step aside for someone who will. So Stefanski's running through his weekly press conference, and most questions focus on the upcoming Bills matchup. He's discussing Josh Allen, the run defense, James Cook, standard pregame stuff. Then a reporter asks the question everyone's been waiting for. You'll be able to get a little bit more out of Cedric Tillman this week, and when you just look at the targets, it seems like Shedeur would be best served by trying to spread the ball around a little bit more. Do you think that'll help? Here's Stefanski's response.
Ups and downs for rookies, but especially Shedeur, the rookie quarterback, whether it's in game or coming off a game. So how have you seen him handle that? Like coming in yesterday after the the rough game in Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's got the same attitude every single day, which you expect from quarterbacks. You have to, in this league, be able to turn the page after a loss. You got to be able to turn the page after a win. You can't take that previous game with you, and I think he does a great job of that.
Said someone injured in that Chicago game because he was on the field for I think on the 7th.
Yeah, he didn't practice till I think Friday of last week because he was coming off of the concussion protocol, so just more of a limited role because of that.
What people do outside the building isn't really in my control. It's not in my power. So I don't. Yeah, like I go out there and tell them to do whatever. That's not nothing I can control or nothing I could do. Just happy to be here. Coach Stefanski been coaching since I got here, and he's been doing a very great job.
Yeah, I'm hopeful on said. Obviously, practicing this week will be a key for him to get back out there and have a more full role that he's used to. And then obviously, when it comes to a pass game, you want to spread the ball around to as many guys as you can, runners, tight ends, wide receivers. I think that makes you tougher to defend when you're spreading the ball around.
Hold on, do you see what Stefanski just did there? The reporter handed him a golden opportunity to praise Shedeur, to say he's been doing incredible work with limited weapons, and that getting Cedric back will only elevate his game. Instead, Stefanski says, "I'm hopeful." That's not a vote of confidence. That's not defending your quarterback. That's basically saying, we need more help because Shedeur can't carry the load alone. Now, does Shedeur need more weapons? Absolutely. Elijah Moore got 14 targets in one game because he's the only receiver Stefanski trusts right now. Jerry Jeudy's been dropping passes, the offensive line is crumbling, but the way Stefanski frames it makes it sound like Shedeur's the problem rather than the solution. But wait, it gets worse. A reporter follows up. Talk about the ups and downs for rookies, especially for a quarterback. How have you seen him handle that, like coming in yesterday after the rough game in Chicago? Here's Stefanski's response.
You seen him handle that, like coming in yesterday after the the rough game in Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's got the same attitude every single day, which you expect from quarterbacks. You have to, in this league, be able to turn the page after a loss. You got to be able to turn the page after a win. You can't take that previous game with you, and I think he does a great job of that.
Said someone injured in that Chicago game because he was on the field for I think on the 7th.
Yeah, he didn't practice till I think Friday of last week because he was coming off of the concussion protocol, so just more of a limited role because of that.
On the surface, that sounds like a compliment. Shedeur has a solid attitude, doesn't let losses rattle him, moves on quickly. But here's what's missing from that answer. Any praise for Shedeur's talent, any recognition of his growth, any acknowledgement of what he's accomplished despite being set up for failure. Stefanski treats Shedeur like he's just another guy on the roster. He does what you expect from quarterbacks. That's not how you talk about a potential franchise quarterback. Now compare that to how Stefanski talks about Josh Allen. Earlier in the presser, when asked about Allen, listen to his response. Yeah, he's playing at an extremely high level. I don't know who's playing better than him at the position. He's done that for a bunch of years now. The dual threat nature of what he brings to each play is a challenge for any defense.
You talked about Josh and how great he is a player. You guys have gone against dual threat quarterbacks before. Obviously, you play Lamar twice a year, but does the bar sort of start with Josh Allen, given just physically how different he is kind of from other quarterbacks?
Yeah, he's playing at an extremely high level. I'm sure he's right up there. I don't know who's playing better than him at the position. He's done that for a bunch of years now.
Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying Stefanski should compare Shedeur to Josh Allen. That would be ridiculous. Allen is an MVP caliber quarterback with years of experience. Shedeur is a rookie with 4 starts. But there's a middle ground between generational talent and does what's expected. Stefanski could say Shedeur has shown incredible poise for a rookie. The way he's handling the pressure, making NFL-level throws despite limited weapons. I'm really impressed with his development. That would be appropriate praise for a rookie quarterback who threw 4 touchdowns against the Titans, made perfect throws to Isaac Bond in tight coverage, and displayed elite accuracy despite playing behind a terrible offensive line. But Stefanski doesn't say that. He gives the bare minimum, same attitude every day. Let's talk about what happened with Cedric Tillman, because that's revealing too. A reporter asked, was Cedric Tillman injured in that Chicago game? Because he was on the field for, I think it was 7 snaps.
What does he specifically bring to that?
Yeah, that unit of theirs, their kickoff return unit, is outstanding. They were very, very good last week up against New England, which is a tough group as well. They do a great job blocking, and he's got excellent vision. He has speed. If you give him a crease, he has a speed to go, so it's an excellent group.
The last 2 weeks have given up big returns right off the bat. Just, has it been the same issue, maybe a different player? What is sort of when you watch?
Yeah, it's always it's never one thing, and that's our job, is to identify things that we can do better, identify schemes, identify personnel that we can do better there, and ultimately then we got to go out and execute.
So Cedric Tillman was recovering from a concussion and only played 7 snaps against the Bears. That means Shedeur was throwing primarily to Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy, who's been dropping passes all season, as his number 2 option. And somehow Stefanski's takeaway from that game is Shedeur needs to spread the ball around more. How is Shedeur supposed to spread the ball around when one of his top receivers is on a snap count and the other can't catch consistently? This is where Stefanski's evaluation becomes unfair. He's judging Shedeur based on circumstances Stefanski himself created by not giving him adequate weapons or preparation. Here's what makes this even more frustrating. When discussing Josh Allen and the Bills' offense, Stefanski can't stop praising their weapons. When asked about James Cook, Stefanski says he's outstanding. The speed on every run scheme to play within the between the tackles or bounce it to either side. He uses all 53 1/3 of the field. Really talented player. I had his brother Dalvin in Minnesota. Great kid, great family, they run hard, they can catch the ball in the backfield, really do it all. Stefanski acknowledges Josh Allen has elite weapons. He recognizes that James Cook elevates the offense. He understands that having talented players around your quarterback matters. But when it comes to Shedeur, I'm hopeful that getting Cedric back will help. That's not the same energy. That's not giving Shedeur credit for what he's accomplishing with less.
Yeah, you guys talk to Miles every single week. That's not his focus, Mary Kay. His focus is on doing his job every single play, run play, pass play, you name it. That's really what he's focused on, and the record itself, and it's fun, obviously, for our fans, and fun to be a part of that, but that's not at all his focus.
Let me circle back to Stefanski's comments about Shedeur's attitude after the Chicago game, because there's something revealing in how he phrased it. He says he's got the same attitude every single day, which you expect from quarterbacks. You have to turn the page after a loss. You got to be able to turn the page after a win. You just can't take that previous game with you, and I think he does a great job of that. Notice the phrase, which you expect from quarterbacks. Stefanski treating Shedeur's maturity and professionalism as the bare minimum, not as something special, not as something that separates him from other rookies, just does what you expect. But we've seen other rookies crumble under pressure. We've seen quarterbacks get rattled after bad games. We've seen players lose confidence when things go south. Shedeur hasn't done that. He's remained poised, taken accountability, continued to work and improve. And Stefanski's response is, that's what you expect. That's disrespectful. That's minimizing Shedeur's mental toughness and leadership. Here's why I think the NFL might be giving Stefanski a final ultimatum. Stefanski has a history of not committing to young quarterbacks. We saw it with Baker Mayfield. He couldn't get on the same page with Baker, and eventually Baker was traded. Now we're seeing the same pattern with Shedeur. Stefanski keeps Shedeur at arm's length. He dishes out generic praise. He doesn't fully invest in him as the franchise quarterback. And the NFL is watching. League executives are watching. They're seeing a coach who doesn't provide his rookie quarterback with proper weapons, doesn't give him first-team reps in practice, doesn't defend him publicly when he struggles, and treats him like just another player on the roster instead of recognizing the potential franchise quarterback. That's not how you develop a quarterback. If the Browns want Shedeur to reach his full potential, they might need a coach who actually believes in Shedeur, as a coach who actually believes in the talent they already have, instead of treating him like a placeholder until they can draft someone else. So here's my question for you. When Kevin Stefanski says, "I'm hopeful that spreading the ball around will help Shedeur," instead of praising Shedeur's ability to elevate his receivers despite limited weapons, is that proof he doesn't truly believe in Shedeur as the franchise quarterback? When he gives Shedeur generic praise about having the same attitude every day, while gushing about Josh Allen playing at an extremely high level, I don't know who's playing better than him at the position, doesn't that show clear bias in how he evaluates quarterbacks? And when he suggests Shedeur needs more help to succeed, rather than acknowledging he's been doing more with less than almost any rookie quarterback in the league, isn't that setting him up to be blamed for failures that are really the result of Stefanski's poor roster construction and game planning? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the NFL might have just given Kevin Stefanski a final ultimatum: either commit to developing Shedeur Sanders as the franchise quarterback with the same energy you give to praising opposing QBs like Josh Allen, or step aside for someone who will. If you believe Shedeur deserves a coach who will fight for him, defend him publicly, and invest in giving him the weapons he needs to succeed, smash that subscribe button. Because we're going to keep holding Kevin Stefanski accountable every single week until he either commits to Shedeur or gets replaced by someone who will.